Hello and welcome to this session of Talking Tech, Women and Girls in ICT. My name is Chiara Quade and I'm delighted to present today my high school, the Gymnasium in Cologne, Germany, and even more delighted to represent my high school IT task force. My interviewee today is Diva Tommei from Italy, a truly amazing woman who currently invests in tech startups and who worked for NASA way back. She holds a PhD in bioinformatics from the University of Cambridge and founded her own company called Solenica. I'm very excited having the chance to speak with her today about tech, her path in this field, job opportunities in tech, and related topics. Talking Tech is a series of interviews where young girls and women interview experienced professional women in tech. Between the Girls in ICT Day 2020 and 2022, there will be a couple of hundreds interviews conducted. We are very proud to be part of it. The Girls in ICT Day helps young girls and women to feel empowered to get an education or consider a career in the area of IT, tech, and communication technology, or to work in tech companies. The Talking Tech series is a joint project of the ITU, UNICC, and the Office of the UN Secretary General's Envoy on Youth. Talking Tech is also in support of Equals, the global partnership for gender equality in the digital age. Now, what are the objectives of Talking Tech? We, the participants, would love to inspire other girls and women to get into tech. Of course, it would be also fantastic if by these interviews, role models become more visible. Because the participants are from all over the world, it is amazing to see how many great talented women are already working in ICT and how much potential there is in younger women. Of course, we also like to show how ICT helps to solve day-to-day problems. Like in my school when COVID closed down and we had to literally overnight develop an IT infrastructure, allowing us to continue learning and interacting. Before getting started, I'd like to say a few words about my school, respectively the task force I'm involved with. My high school, the Gymnasium, is situated in Cologne, Germany, and it is a very multicultural school with many different people. But we are very interested and motivated in general, and we always give our best, especially when it comes to difficult situations, such as the corona pandemic. But I'm also part of an association in my school, the IT task force, that helped a lot during online school. We did our best to support the students with the digital devices and programs. I feel very honored being part of the Talking Tech series, and I'm excited to now shift to a conversation with Diva Tommei. How are you today?
Hi, Chiara. So thanks so much for this very kind intro. I am very well, thank you.
So maybe tell us a bit about yourself first.
Sure.
What is your current job in tech and what do you like most of it?
All right, so I guess I can give you a brief summary of my path to today's job, which was quite unusual. So I started, as you correctly said, as a Bachelor of Science in Biotechnology, and this was back in Rome, in Italy. Then I specialized in genomic biotechnology, still in Italy, and then I went to Cambridge University to do my PhD in bioinformatics. So up until then, my life was all about research and science and being a scientist. What happened during after the first 2 years of my PhD was that I was selected to participate in a NASA and Google sponsored program called Singularity University. That was back in 2010. So that's where I spent 4 very intense months learning about exponential technologies and how technology, if appropriately used, it can help the entrepreneur have a very great impact on society and the well-being of people. So after that experience, I really understood that perhaps academia was not so very well fitting with my personality and the way that I love getting things done quickly, asking questions and finding answers very quickly, and not being constrained by any sort of framework. So I decided to, at that point, jump into the dark, because I had no idea what it meant to be an entrepreneur. And I founded Solenica. So after that, I, kept the company going for a number of years, and it's still ongoing today. But what happened is that I got involved into institutional actors that are involved in the innovation field. First in Europe as the EIT Digital, so the European Institute for Technology and Innovation, that's its knowledge community that delivers digital transformation across Europe, as director for Italy. And then now it's about a year ago, started as a director for investments in IT and ICT, so let's call it digital, widely speaking, in specifically Italian startups. So, I've come at the innovation ecosystem from a variety of angles, as a researcher, as an entrepreneur, and now as an investor. And it's been, quite a learning curve in itself. So this is me in a nutshell. What I love about being able to invest today is that I do have these different perspectives to use as guiding principles. As an investor, if you've been an entrepreneur before, you understand what it means, the hardships that the entrepreneur has to go through in order to make his or her vision a reality. And so the approach, I would say, is much more personal and human, and the team and the founding team especially is what I relate to very much, because I used to be that. And I love being able to help with the fundraising process.
And along that whole long way, did you have any points on which you said that's very hard and you can't go on and you have to stop all of that?
Many times. I think that's actually the trademark of finding your own way, because I feel like we're living in a society that is more and more oriented towards fluidity of jobs. So what that means is that you really are your own person and your own individual, even professionally speaking. So whatever direction you want to take, potentially today, one could argue that you can take it because you specialize in that through a master's, or you take another it's an ongoing reskilling of the person professionally that allows you to take so many different directions, right? And the example of jumping into founding a startup, in my specific case, was one of them, right? I had no idea about it, and I had really no clue on how to get started. But what happens is that you get into it, you learn, you ask questions to as many people that have been there before so that you try and avoid the pitfalls and try to learn from their experiences, and you keep going. But inevitably it's going to feel very, very hard on many days. So I guess passion and determination are hallmarks of an entrepreneur, really, because it is a hard profession. But even in research and academia, I mean, you have to find your niche, and you have to find the questions that you're interested in that are going to be funded, and that's all a world in itself that can be very hard and challenging for the researcher and the principal investigator. So absolutely. And it's just, I expect these hardships to keep coming. So it's really about building a toolbox that you can use over and over and over again in life, because change is life itself, right? So
yeah. So it's often said that that whole field of tech is dominated by men. Would you agree on that? What are your experiences concerning that?
Well, let's say, let's pull research and academia out of it, because there's a much more balanced situation there, although still not what you want. But if you're thinking tech founders, so entrepreneurs, then yes, it's very male dominated still. It's changing, definitely. Also because the women that have been founders and are founders, they speak up, they go to events, they don't shy away from just talking about their path, and this helps the ecosystem a lot. Also because an ecosystem that is overly representing one half of the population is just not gonna work well, right? Because you need both halves to be an accurate representation of the world, and that's what you need as an entrepreneur, is a lab where you can test your ideas and your hypotheses and try your prototypes, but it's not a male only world, it's half and half. So I think this is a message that is coming across more and more and more, and I'm positive. I'm a positive person, so I tend to believe that we will get there.
But do you sometimes feel put aside by men, or that people around your workspace don't take you serious?
Yes and no. So the yes part is because of stereotypes, right? So I mean, people, they respond to that in the sense, and they use them. I mean, we do that too in maybe other sectors or areas of our life. We don't really even realize it. So that's one thing that that for sure is there, but it's there inevitably as part of being human. So yes, no, because I fight back. So even if they do make that first assumption, I immediately take my space and make them understand that what the model they're working off on is wrong. And I think this is the fight that we have to fight. There's nobody that is going to give it to you. You have to take it. And, through confrontation, that happens through confrontation.
Mm-hmm. And which job would you do today if you weren't a tech engineer, whatever?
I think ultimately my true nature is being an entrepreneur. And that's because, as I said earlier, I can, kind of build my own tools, ask my own questions, and I love that freedom. I love the freedom to build whatever it is that I want to build, and whatever it is that I feel that people will get a lot out of, well-being, and just beneficial. It's beneficial for people. So that gets me going every day, and I love doing that. And in the job that I'm in now, I do that by helping other entrepreneurs, and I love that too. So in a way, I think that I have found my calling, if you can say that. Perhaps one thing that I would enjoy doing more is delivering this information to help others address the problems when they're having them for the first time. So I guess teaching, maybe, a form of teaching this, so that it can travel and help other people as well.
So is there anything that you've achieved so far that you are most proud of?
I was very proud that I didn't let go when the startup that I had founded was in, very close to dying. This is very common in the world of startups, and founders, if they are true entrepreneurs, they tend to be serial founders in the sense that they keep trying because that's what they love doing. And so it is very common that on X number of startups that you found, a good number of them are not going to go well. Maybe you're lucky and a good number goes well, but in the average scenario, this doesn't happen. So I was kind of getting ready for bracing myself for impact, if you will. And but I was able to still raise the funds that we needed to keep going, and this was only recent. And so this allows the prototype, now product, to be worked into a production line and hopefully see the market next year. And this is something at some point I really never thought I would be able to do, but it happened, and it's still pretty. I still trying to fathom it myself,
And maybe it would be also interesting to hear how you realized and when you realized that you want to go into the technology business.
Yeah, so this goes back to that experience I shared earlier about in NASA, right? So it was at the NASA Mountain View campus, and this Singularity University program had brought together for the first time 80 students that were divided into 40 scientists and researchers, and I was amongst one of them, and the other 40 were investors and entrepreneurs. So people that could sort of show these scientists and researchers how their ideas and their research could be used for good in a entrepreneurial sort of model, not necessarily a research-based one. And that's when it really clicked for me that what I had been finding discomfort in academia during my PhD, I could really kind of channel through this new way of doing things that I didn't know about before, because this is a problem worldwide. They don't teach you how to the basics even of being an entrepreneur in school or in uni, in high school. And they really should, because that is something that you anyways learn if you want to do it, but you would have so many more entrepreneurs trying to change the world in good ways if you teach it well, that I think society would only benefit from it. And even the university institutions themselves, because they can commercialize some of their research, and that money can go back to the university that could reinvest it in new labs, new equipment. It's really a win-win model that is still not, these are still silos, if you will, that are not talking very efficiently and effectively, and they really should. There's some good models in Europe and in the US, of course, but we could do even better, I think.
And maybe also beyond your career, what are things that you like to do just for yourself without any pressure?
I love to read. I love detective stories, like detective as in you have to solve mystery stories, because I always try to solve the mystery first. So I like to do that. And of course, books that are written by founders of sectors like AI. But I also do enjoy music. I studied music for a long number of years, piano and cello. And honestly, I've let them go a little bit these last years because I was so busy. It was just something you should not do. I know you play the violin, so keep doing that.
Yeah.
And you sing, keep doing that.
Yes, I will. And in general, maybe, do you have any advice for younger girls or women that want to start a career in the field of technology, and what you would maybe like to have known when you were at my age or around that?
If you know that, like yourself, you love math, you love physics, you love everything that's logical, then go for it, is advice number one. Don't ask permission or try to find support outside of yourself, because the only consensus that you need is yours. So if you want to do it, go for it. And is it going to be hard? Yeah, that's not even a question. Yes, it will be hard. You will have to commit. But this is true in any case, whatever direction you choose, right? So don't let it, just because it's technology or tech or something, considered hard, just don't give up before even starting, right? Start, and then if you don't like it, then you're allowed to give up, but give it a go. I was very curious to learn how you got into math, if you want to tell me about that, because it's quite unusual, because you're so in love with everything that's rational and logic, and where does that come from?
I don't really know. I think I always liked that way of thinking. So when I was little, I always did these little, puzzle things that, where you have connect things or, solve problems. I don't know. And when I got to school, I just, had maths and I really liked it. But now I'm kind of excited about it. And also, since I've started to watch films that are about, I don't know, everything that has to do with astrophysics or time travel, like, I don't know, Matrix or Interstellar. Yeah, that was actually the point where I got really into it. And so I decided that I maybe want to go into that direction. Also, at university maybe, but also in connection with philosophy. So we also talked about that.
Yeah.
And so I would be really interested in maybe which part of philosophy you experience in your job life.
Right. So we did have a chat about this, right, already. And what we figured is that philosophy is just a way of saying, what are your guiding principles in life? Because, philosophy in itself as a subject has, changed and evolved since its beginnings, because society has evolved. And so the problem sets were different, and the issues and the questions, and what is right, what is wrong, and how should we behave? Why are we behaving like this? All of this is natural sort of, evolution of questions that come from people living together in a community and trying to live by some rules that they give themselves. So I think today the real big role for philosophers is to stay in touch and in close connection with technology, because technology in itself is not going to do any good. I mean, unless you guide it and you lead it towards good things, good applications that help people and help the planet. It's not going to do us any good, or at least it's not going to do the world any good. It may do good for a very few selected number of people, but that's not what we want moving forward. It's just not a sustainable model of civilization. So I think if we take philosophers out of the picture of technology in terms of technological development, we are in for big trouble. We need people that think about these things, and we need ongoing conversation with people that think about these things, because having a good idea and getting funded and bringing that idea to a even billion-dollar venture has proven to be a model that needs to be revisited, because the values are not enough. They cannot be an afterthought. They need to be guiding the conversation. And philosophers think about content and value. And of course, I'm not a philosopher. I'm not a, I don't I don't know how to do this. I do know that it's very needed, being on the side of someone who has developed and invests in technology.
Yeah, but I also think that philosophy and maths have that logical thinking in common, or at least partly, because there are very different kinds of philosophy. But yeah, a very huge part is also about questioning things in a logical way. And yeah, that's, for example, what Plato does or did. And we also talked about that. So yeah, he's maybe one of the philosophers that I find really interesting, just because he doesn't just think about random things, because that's what's often done in philosophy, or like it seems to be philosophy. But yeah, to really try to to explain how the world works, through logical conclusions is much harder than just thinking of the sense of life or anything.
Absolutely. And, we should not forget that philosophy was really a synonym almost of science back, when it was started, right? So asking questions at the time, these questions were really sort of fundamentals, what we would consider fundamental knowledge today, right? So that was unknown before. So back then, philosophers and scientists were really the same person, asking the right questions and trying to find answers with what later became the scientific method, right? You have an hypothesis, you test it out, and you have an outcome, and then you circle back until you can iterate this as many times as you want, right? And ask as many questions as you want.
Yeah.
I think that because you love logic and you love all of that pertaining to logic, I think this is what really attracts you to this world of philosophy, for sure. And when you will become an adult and a professional, and you will have your career, I think because you're thinking about these things today, because you're having this conversation, not just with me, you're having multiple of these conversations, I bet, with many people all the time. And because you have this way of finding out about the world that surrounds you, that I really think that we're going to be in good hands when it's going to be your generation leading and moving us forward. I'm really convinced of that. I don't know, maybe I'm too positive, but there's no point in living life without being positive, right? So about change. So it's how you should do it, I think.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way? Do you feel different from, people that maybe you have conversations with that are older and that have a different value system perhaps in place?
Maybe yes, because for our generation, technology is just very
Native,
normal thing.
native, exactly, yeah.
So since I'm born, there is just very much technical stuff around me. So I don't see it as something which needs to be questioned in any way. But I think, in spite of that, we should question it, as you said.
Absolutely.
And just always think about what we're doing. So of course, there's a huge progress going in today's world, but we always need to think and to question and reflect on what we're doing, because as we all know, technology also brought us very bad things because people didn't reflect enough, and just always saw the benefits. But
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be, I think, the challenge of your generation, is to keep asking questions, even though things feel like they've always been that way. And this is how technology works, huh? It's exponential in growth. So adoption, and it's just is so fast that you feel like you've lived that way forever, and it's actually been, a couple of years maybe. So not getting overwhelmed or even completely devoid of the critical thinking aspect is very dangerous. You shouldn't let that happen, and that's, I believe, what is your challenge of your generation going to be.
Mm-hmm.
The one for my generation, I was born in 84, so I did kind of live the end of the curve of the big technological breakthroughs. So I've been sort of, I can look back and remember some things that I used to do that today are like, wait, was that even me? I mean, I don't remember. It's just so far away. So for my generation, I think adaptation to this and the question about the value system is going to be the big challenge, because this is what's happening today in the world, right? I mean, big companies are built around business models that are amazing business models, but they are business models, and in a business model there is no row that's called values with a value, like a numerical value. So it's really all about the people and the integrity they have and the values they truly believe in, that they are not willing to trade in for a bigger profit. And that's our challenge. That's really our challenge. And you guys are gonna have a lot of work in front of you. But I hope that we will manage to not leave something behind that's awful and too, terribly dysfunctional. I don't think so. Again, being positive, I think we will get there. I think we will get there, but we cannot stop. We can't stop. We have to accelerate and keep going in the right direction.
Thanks for the conversation today. I really enjoyed talking to you. Yeah, and see you soon, hopefully.
Thanks to you, Chiara. It was a lovely conversation, and I hope we also were enjoyable for the audience that is going to listen to us. Bye.
Bye.